Hello there, my name is Honest Englishman and welcome to this video about the combo system in Anthem. In this video I'm going to talk about the ins and outs of the combo system and try to answer any questions you may have about it. By the end of this video, I hope to have given you enough information to make you competent with the combo system, and even if you've used it before, to have given you information that you did not already possess. This system is extremely important for becoming successful at higher difficulties of the game, and understanding it will make you a much better player. Before I delve too deep, I'd like to point out this chart by Reddit user FireDragon04. They used help from the Anthem subreddit to create it, and it's a very useful resource which does a great job of visualising the relevant information. It helped me to create this video, and it's generally a nice quick reference or cheat sheet. He also made this handy chart for primers and detonators, which is also very helpful. I'll put a link to both of these in the description of the video just in case you want to check them out. So to begin with, in Anthem there are two things required in order to create a combo: a primer and a detonator. Primers are what you require to start or prime a combo. They place status effects on the enemy they are used against based on their element, which opens that enemy up to be detonated. Their symbol during the demos looked like a fire inside of a circle. However, this is going to change for launch to a solid circle inside of a circle, as seen here. You can see when an enemy is primed by the fact that they will have a status symbol above their name. For launch, this is planned to change colour based on whether it has been detonated or not, and will show you a sort of timer to show when it will run out. Detonators are what you use to finish or detonate a combo. They too have their own elemental damage types, and while their symbol during the demo looked like an explosive blast, this too is going to change for launch. It will become a 4-pointed star icon instead, as seen here. When you are using a skill, you can see whether it is a primer or a detonator in the bottom right hand corner where the skills are located in your user interface. The icon for each is in the top rightmost section of the relevant skills. You can see when you have successfully detonated a combo, as a message will appear on screen in yellow text where the damage numbers usually show up to inform you of this. When you have either primed or detonated an enemy in a combo, you will hear a sound effect in the background which sounds like this. In order to prime a target and place a status effect on them, you must first get through the creature's resistances. Each type of enemy has different resistances. For example, a frost wolven is resistant to the frost status, while a boss may be resistant to many statuses. If you were to use more than one primer of the same element type on the same enemy with a resistance, you would eventually break through this resistance and place the status effect on them. Even if you were to do this, that status effect would have a shorter duration on these enemies. Also, bosses cannot, for example, be frozen solid. From my testing, energy shields make the enemies immune to statuses. However, during the demos, on very rare occasion, I was able to get through this shield to combo, so this may either be a bug, or that with the shield up, they are merely extremely resistant. Once you have detonated a primer, you cannot detonate that same status effect again until it has run out and been reapplied, but you can use a different primer element to combo up to 4 times in quick succession before needing those statuses to each run out. This would require decent team coordination, but it does add a layer of team play. An example of this would be if a Colossus was firing their flamethrower on an enemy. This would apply the burning status, which could be detonated for a combo. However, if they continued to burn this enemy with the flamethrower, this would not let the burning status run out. If they stopped firing and the burning status ran out, and then they fired again once it had run out, this would reapply the status, thus reapplying the primer. When a detonator is used on a primer, you'll get a large damage bonus from finishing the combo. This makes it very desirable to ensure that you use your detonators wisely. Something important to note is that when you achieve a combo, you gain a small chunk of immediate ultimate recharge, whether you were the one to prime the target or the one to detonate it. This will add up quickly over time and makes a big difference overall, as ultimates are very strong, and this also adds a reward for tactical or team play. All of the ultimates are detonators, the one exception being the Storm, which has both primers and detonators on theirs. All skills have elemental damage types. The elemental damage of the primer dictates what type of status effect the enemy will have on them and what the combo will do once detonated. The detonator's element does not dictate the combo effect, only the primer does this. You do not need to match elements up for a combo to happen. For example, you could use a fire detonator to combo with an ice primer. So for the elemental types, we have acid and fire, which are strong against armor. The acid status effect reduces enemy armor, allowing you and allies to do extra damage against these enemies, while fire just deals extra damage against armoured enemies and sets the burning status on them, doing damage over time. Electricity and ice, on the other hand, will deal more damage against energy shields. However, ice deals a little bit more damage against shields than electricity does. Electricity will focus on area damage, and ice will freeze enemies for a short duration. Ice is your crowd control element and can be extremely potent if used correctly. Now that we've gone through the general basics, I'm going to go through each javelin individually to explain what they're capable of and what they might bring to a group. This section will include my own suggestions. If you find your own way to make the most of each javelin, then that's great. Just try to find what works best for you. Skills are shared between two categories. You may have two skills at once, one from each category, so it will be up to you to decide how to mix and match the ones available to you. First of all, we have the Ranger. Currently, they have access to 3 primer skills: Inferno Grenade, Frost Grenade, and Venom Darts. As for detonators, they currently have access to 4, the Frag Grenade, Sticky Grenade, Seeking Missile, and Pulse Blast skills. Their unique combo ability is that when they detonate combos, they will do bonus critical damage. Their melee skill is a primer. They are the only javelin to have a primer on their melee. All of the other javelins have a detonator. This primer also stuns or knocks down enemies, making it even easier to combo with and has great defensive benefits. Because of their unique combo ability and ready access to a few different detonators, in an organised group, I would strongly consider taking 2 detonators. I would then coordinate with my team as to when they would be using their primers and maximise the effect of the large single target damage buff, but this would depend on your group composition. Moving on to the Interceptor, you have 4 primer skills: Venom Bomb, Cryoglaive, Detonating Strike, and Venom Spray, giving them the most access to the acid status effect, especially since both of these skills are in separate categories. For detonator skills, they have Spark Dash and Tempest Strike, giving them the least amount of detonator skills of all of the javelins. However, due to the fact that they are melee focused and have easy access to a detonator with their melee, this is not much of an issue. The Interceptor's unique combo ability is that they receive an aura when they detonate a combo. This will persist for a short duration, and while it remains, it will affect nearby enemies with the status effect associated with the primer used for the combo. The downside to these auras is that enemies affected by them cannot be comboed, but the developers sound like they are still considering how they want the Interceptor to perform in this regard. This could be subject to change. Their melee ability, as mentioned, is a detonator. Due to the Interceptor being very melee-centric, this means that you can actually afford to take 2 primers for your skills instead of a primer and a detonator, if you so desire. This also makes the javelin strong when it comes to detonating combos without going out of their way to do so. If I was to play an Interceptor in an organised group, I would take at least 1 acid primer like Venom Bomb to combo with to gain acid auras, which would cause your enemies to take more damage, boosting the damage output of your whole group. You could also consider taking an ice primer or 2 within your group composition to give yourself ice auras on demand for the crowd control ability. Next up, we have the Colossus. They have access to 4 primer skills: Firewall Mortar, Shock Coil, Venom Spitter, and Flamethrower, giving them the most access to fire primers, especially since the Flamethrower can be used often and has a conal area of effect. Both this and the Firewall Mortar are good for priming groups of enemies. As for detonators, they have High Explosive Mortar, Lightning Coil, Siege Artillery, and Railgun. The Colossus's unique combo ability is that they do area damage when detonating combos. This can make them very good against large groups of weak enemies, but less powerful against stronger enemies like elites or bosses. In my opinion, the Colossus has the least flexible unique combo ability, but it does still have its niche and it's far from useless. Their melee skill is a detonator with a slow animation. However, this also does area damage, meaning that you can combo multiple enemies at once in a reasonably large area with your melee, which is unique to the Colossus. For organised groups, the Colossus does offer an easy to use detonator due to having the Lightning Coil skill, which is very fire and forget, but can also be micromanaged. Due to their melee having area combo potential, their unique combo ability creating area damage, and their access to many area of effect skills, this makes the Colossus excel against large groups of enemies. It's also worth looking at Railgun if you want a single target high damage detonator, especially for armoured enemies. Finally, we have the Storm. For primers, they have access to 5: Ice Storm, Ice Blast, Living Flame, Frost Shards, and Shock Burst. This gives them the most access to primers out of all of the javelins. For detonators, they have 3 skills: Lightning Strike, Burning Orb, and Glacial Spear. The Storm's unique combo ability is that when they finish combos with their detonators, they spread the status effect in an area around the target. This, in my opinion, along with the fact that they can often set up primers, makes the Storm the strongest javelin in the game for detonating combos. It is also the crowd control king. This is what the Storm was built for. The one downside is that you cannot combo on an enemy that you spread a status effect to. For example, if you were to use an ice primer on one enemy, then spread that to other enemies, the other enemies could not be used to keep spreading the effect, It's a one-time deal per primer application. Their melee is a detonator which is focused on single target combos. It's not all that special, and it's just a panic button stun if you get jumped on, in my opinion. In an organised group, I would take an ice primer like Ice Storm along with a detonator in order to detonate an area crowd control on demand. Burning Orb is notable for being able to use it 5 times in a row if you want one that you can spam faster. However, Glacial Spear is also very nice. With a Storm in your group doing this, the rest of you can focus on bringing more damage and fewer stuns depending on your group composition. As a final tip, I would suggest when playing with people you know, you might want to discuss which primers each player is taking and consider trying to mix and match your elemental types so that you can cover as many elements as you can while being effective, as well as considering how many primers or detonators each player will take. With careful consideration to your primers, detonators and status effects, you will make an even stronger fighting force together. This concludes my guide on the combo system. I hope this video was both helpful and informative for you in aiding you to understand combos and how to make the most of them. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like. If you dislike this video, feel free to leave a dislike and let everyone know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video and have a great day. Bye for now.